This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for another fabulous edition of What in the World with.
Paul Seaburn. Hi, Karen.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm here with Karen Hale, the media mogul at NewClevelandRadio.net. We're here for another week of What in the World. I'm doing good. The world is doing good, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. I would, I hate to mention sports. We don't have our good buddy John DiNallo with What in the World of Sports. He's having technical difficulties. I'm sure he would have mentioned, or maybe not, that the Cleveland Browns lost last night.
Yeah, but you know what? They played a really good game.
Yes,
They were there.
Yeah, it was an interesting game all the way through. I think the funniest thing, since this is our comedy show, the funniest thing for me, and I didn't stay up to watch it, so I had to catch up in the morning. But I didn't think about this when the Baltimore quarterback left the game and then came back, and everybody was saying he had cramps. So I'm just reading before we come on the air. There's a rumor going around that he didn't have cramps. He had to go to the bathroom. But he didn't want to tell anybody because he was too embarrassed. You know, pro football players don't go to the bathroom. So,
well, you're supposed to do that before the game starts.
Well, it was an exciting game. You know, he got the
okay.
Got into the moment there. Oh, looks like John may be joining us.
Trying to
hey, there is a God.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Well,
on that note,
you may want to qualify that, John, depending on how things go here. We were just talking about the Browns.
Wow. You know what though? They ran out of time, basically.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was an exciting game. I don't know if you thought
game.
We were just talking that the Baltimore quarterback left late in the game and then came back, and they said that he had cramps. And I just saw a rumor that he had to go to the bathroom, but they didn't want anybody to, he's too embarrassed to say he had to go to the bathroom.
Right, sure.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. Well, so John is here. I have we will be talking about What in the World of Sports as long as his technical difficulties stay at bay.
At bay.
Yes. And I want to, at the very top of the hour here, I want to say hello to a bunch of people. Apparently, according to our latest statistics from the media mogul, Karen herself, we are doing very well in New Zealand and Ireland, of all places.
Yes, we are.
How about that? So I want to say hello. Thank God they speak English, because I didn't want to have to say hello in some other language. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to us, and please come back again. Check me out on Facebook if you want to send me a message, letting me know who you are. And I also want to say if she's watching, she may be watching in the future, to my friend Robin in Texas. I used to work with Robin's husband a long time ago. We were also running buddies, and we reconnected on Facebook, and she's interested in one of the stories we're going to be talking about. So I want to let her know that I'll be talking about the haunted bridal gown.
Ooh.
So, we have to watch the time. I have a lot of stories to talk about here. And Robin, just to make, we're all how small the world is. Robin and her husband live right around the corner from Tex Chick. So within like 5 houses away.
Wow.
So anyways, speaking of stories, I have so much to talk about today. We have from all over the world. We've got another a weird monolith story from Australia. Sauerkraut ice cream. We're going to be talking about that.
I saw that. Oh.
Sounds gross to me.
Just for you, Karen.
Yeah, thanks.
Hopefully we'll get, I have a chupacabra story from Russia. If we can get to that. Also for Karen, a guy who converted his Volkswagen Beetle to a jet-powered car. So this is something for you to think about.
I want to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait till you find out how much it's worth. Jeez.
Hey.
We've got the haunted wedding dress. We've got super rats. I think I'll be talking about super rats. We'll see. In England, we're going to go all over the world. We may not get out of the solar system for this week, but we'll stay on Earth with some weird stuff. So, without further ado, let's get right to it and see what we got here. So we've got a couple of holiday stories. I wore my holiday alien sweatshirt.
Oh, very good.
I haven't seen that in a while, have you?
Nope.
We have not.
Yeah, nice. It still fits. So, back from our Joe Max days, we were just John, before you came on, Karen and I were talking about the Joe Max days, and she paid a visit to one of our old friends, Sarah, who said how much she misses us.
Yep.
So I thought that was really nice. So
It was nice
you live
of them
in,
to say that.
And the
yeah,
donuts are still real good.
oh, everything, the coffee,
Yeah.
the donuts, the pastries. If you're in the Cleveland area, in Brecksville or North Royalton or Sagamore, off of Route 82 and Brecksville Road, Joe Max Coffee and Donuts, great place to go visit. We enjoyed doing our show from there, and they were a gracious sponsor of ours. So go visit them.
Absolutely.
Everybody needs our help these days, including, believe it or not, Campbell Soup. Okay, turns out Campbell Soup owns Pepperidge Farm, and Pepperidge Farm makes everybody's favorite little bags of cookies, that the soft cookies. Well, there may be a shortage of Pepperidge Farm cookies this year for the holidays, which is because of the virus and less people at the factory and all that. But it's really hurting kids, because what are you going to put out for Santa Claus if you don't have Pepperidge Farm chocolate chip cookies and milk? They're already worried. I heard from a friend of mine who's one of Santa's elf friends, and he said that kids are asking if they'll be on Santa's naughty list if they serve him fortune cookies instead of chocolate chip.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
and
could
they're fortune cookies that their parents got that they didn't eat from the takeout, and they'll be in their little bag. And I mean, if I was Santa Claus, I'd be a little upset if that's what I got.
Yeah, but at least they're safe. They're in that little bag.
Oh, they're safe from what? Yeah, but what if here's something to think about. What if you give Santa a fortune cookie and it's not a good fortune? So now he's doubly mad.
Sure.
Yeah,
The whole thing.
yeah, that's right. No chocolate chip cookies. It says it's going to be a bad year in 2021. More coal for these kids. I don't know. Do you have coal in your stocking for Hanukkah, Karen? Just out of curiosity.
There's a hole in my stocking.
A hole in your stocking for Hanukkah? Is that a traditional thing?
I've got nothing. Everything's just gone through that hole.
Oh,
That's a proper metaphor for 2020. Everything is going through the hole.
Got it.
Well, speaking of Pepperidge Farm, I did a little investigation on Pepperidge Farm. So Pepperidge Farm was founded in 1937, like many typical cookie companies, by a mother in her home. She lived on a farm called, go figure, Pepperidge Farm, family farm. 1937, she had a young boy, Mark was his name, who had asthma, and he couldn't eat commercial bread. So she started baking her own bread at the recommendation of her doctor, and he got better. So she gave some of the bread to the doctor. The doctor liked it so much, A, because it tasted good, and B, because it had miracle properties. And he started giving it to his other patients who wanted to buy it. So she got into the baking business because of that, and named it Pepperidge. Pepperidge Farm, after the farm. Do you know what a Pepperidge is, by the way, Karen? I'll ask you. I know trivia guy down there might.
No.
John, do you know what a Pepperidge is?
Paul, I have to say I have no clue on this one.
I know it's not sport related. I know.
It's out of my world.
Yeah, it's a plant. It's a plant. It's like a bush that you put in front of your house, but commonly known as the tupelo, which I never knew. A tupelo is a plant. Tupelo honey and all that. Well, the Pepperidge is also a plant that attracts bees, whose honey then becomes flavored by the flavor of the Pepperidge, just like the tupelo.
Wow.
That's where all that came from. There's also a black Tupelo. There's different variations of Tupelo. So anyway, so she did so well that Campbell Soup came in 1961 and bought her out, and she became the first woman on the board of Campbell Soup. She also, her name was Margaret Rudkin. She also wrote the Margaret Rudkin Pepperidge Farm Cookbook in 1963, which was the first cookbook to ever make the New York Times bestseller list. Pretty extraordinary for a lady who started baking bread because her kid had asthma. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So now I also mentioned leaving cookies and milk for Santa Claus. John, I'll ask you this one first, since I know you probably did that as well as I did. Do you know where that came from? We all just assumed that, our parents told us to do it, and we did.
Wasn't it some kind of tradition in like a Scandinavian country?
Oh, good guess, but wrong.
Oh.
Karen, any like equivalent Hanukkah tradition? Hanukkah Harry, what'd you leave for him?
Oh, we leave cookies out for Hanukkah Harry every night.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he eat them or did
the little robot eats them?
So anyway, I thought, well, I thought you should leave him some booze, but if we all left him booze, he'd never make it through to every house.
Right. He wouldn't complete his task.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, this, believe it or not, it came from the United States, John, from the Great Depression. And it was a way of parents teaching their kids to about giving. Okay. So, you're not just getting, but sometimes, times are tough for everybody. So you need to give. And Santa Claus is working hard to deliver what little he could during the Depression. So you left out milk and cookies for him. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty nice. A pretty nice tradition from the good old US of A, not the Scandinavians. We can't be giving them credit for everything. Okay, I've got some visual aids here. So I wanted to get them ready to go. I know John's waiting for those. So I have a food theme today for some strange reason. You know how much we like to talk about world records. Guinness Book of World Records was set by Angel Zayas is the guy's name. He set a world record when he created a freestanding tower of tortillas. I believe I saw them. They opened for David Bowie, the Tower of Tortillas. He set a world record for an actual tower of tortillas, 32.1 inches high. Now, that's almost a yard of tortillas, which, in fact, I think at Taco Bell you can buy a yard of tortillas on the value menu, and it's under $1 still. So there's no filling.
It's economical.
There you go. Yeah, but I call foul on this for this record. A, how hard is it to stack flat disc? Number one. And B, well, that's it right there. I mean, it can't be that difficult. It sounds more like a party game that you would play like at a birthday party. Oh, let's play Stack the Tortillas, and then we'll play Spin the Tequila Bottle and pin the tail on the piñata so anyways, just to prove that this guy really did it, here's a picture of the world record holder with his world record stack of tortillas. Now, look at the guy. Look at his hair. He was really getting into this. It looks almost like he took tortilla dough and put it on his head, which...
Yeah, is that white stuff the tortillas on his head?
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like it's a dough of some kind. It looks like a dough, right?
Yeah. When we lived in Texas, there was a restaurant called Papacitos that we used to go to, and they would make the tortillas right there. I don't think there's any restaurants in Houston or in Cleveland, but they had a machine, and they had one person who would take balls of dough about the size of a golf ball and drop them in the top, and you could watch it spin down, like those old-fashioned banks, and it could spin down to the bottom, and then it would get flattened, and out would pop the flat tortilla. So we took my little nieces there when they came to visit us. And oh man, that was just the greatest thing. They didn't like Mexican food, but they played with the dough all night long. It bothered the people. Give me some more dough. Hey, come on. So anyway, but that's what it looked like he's doing. He's got that tortilla dough just on his head. Really got into it too much, I think.
Yeah.
So now we go to England for a quick story from England. Police in England stopped a car on the freeway, M62, after, get ready for this, they saw a leg sticking out of the window. They looked in the back. They saw 2 dead pigs in the back seat. And in the front, a passenger had his arm out the other window to operate the windshield wiper. Okay.
Doesn't sound good at the beginning.
I'm worried about this story.
This is obviously unusual in England. But I've driven through West Virginia. I used to see that all the time, especially during pig roast season. You know, people got the pigs in the back seat. They're heading for the roast. You know, they didn't have time to fix the wiper, so you're just and if it's a formal pig roast and it's raining, you stick your feet out the window and get them washed, so that by the time you get there, you're nice and clean. I don't know. I really don't know what they were doing over there. They didn't explain why the people had the dead pigs or any of that stuff, but I just thought that was a funny story.
Wow.
So speaking of funny stories, so we go to Moscow, and you know, the Russians, they're always doing crazy things. This is the craziest, Karen, by far. Woman in Moscow says she's always been interested in inanimate objects, eventually to the point where she became romantic with one.
No.
Yes. She married, wait till you hear the inanimate object. She married a briefcase. A briefcase.
Did it have money in it?
No, I don't think so. Well, it maybe up until the wedding, and then she took
okay.
Yeah. So she named it Gideon, and she claims he's also her mentor. So she married a briefcase, and now it's her mentor named Gideon. Her mother, of course, was really disappointed because her mother wanted her to marry a doctor's case. You know, with you can figure that out.
Yeah.
So but she says, okay, you know, there's a lot of benefits to marrying a briefcase. Who's also her mentor. He coaches her on how to get a handle on problems, how to make snap decisions. Don't wait, Karen, they get worse. How to make snap decisions and carry on brief conversations. So, Karen, if you could marry a piece of luggage, what piece of luggage would you marry?
I already did. His name is Richard.
Oh.
John, I don't think guys even think about this. Although, if I had to do something like that, I would marry a purse, because no matter where I went, I would be guaranteed to have what I needed in the purse. That's one thing.
That's a utility point.
How about that? Yeah, there's
Right.
some advice for you if you ever offered the opportunity to marry an inanimate piece of luggage. And then, of course, you can, you don't have to sit with them on the plane. You can just throw them on that little thing that spins around.
Yeah, good.
Well, I have an idea though. I have a.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What about a Swiss Army knife?
Oh yeah. There you go. Oh, maybe it would be a menage a trois. You could have a. We're in trouble now.
The briefcase and the Swiss Army knife.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, this could be kinky, John. I like the way you're thinking. Okay. So this story is for the lovely Donna, because she's a big fan of the food product I'm about to speak about. Between now and New Year's Eve, the Urban Churn in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, that's an ice cream place, Urban Churn, is selling sauerkraut ice cream for the low price, $6 a pint, $12 a quart. Comes with a warning: if you're going to put chocolate sauce on it, you're going to upset a lot of German people. It's all your fault. Okay. But believe it or not, this is a real dessert from Germany. Karen, you're nodding your head. Have you had it?
Well, no, but if you had watched Shark Tank last week, they had somebody on there with vegetable ice creams.
Vegetable ice cream. Oh, yeah. No kidding.
So like zucchini ice cream and carrot ice cream. And sauerkraut was another one.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Sounds gross.
it's basically vanilla ice cream with sauerkraut mixed into it. I saw a recipe, but you could, if you want to make it at home, you basically just get vanilla ice cream, wait till it softens, a can of sauerkraut, drain it, dump it in, mix it up, and put it back in the freezer for a little while.
I'll pass.
Believe it or not, but it's a delicacy in Germany, and they have it for dessert, and they serve it on a slice of toasted rye bread. So that's your dessert. Explains a lot, okay, I guess, about the German people.
Wow.
And you can also get it, the sauerkraut ice cream, you can also get it at the most popular ice cream place in Germany, Barfen Robbins. But Karen, I'm glad you brought that up about, I didn't realize that Shark Tank covered it because,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, sauerkraut ice cream is the weirdest I've ever heard of. And then I happened to see somebody was selling vegetable ice cream. In South Korea, they have kimchi ice cream, which is fermented cabbage, which is basically what sauerkraut is. But if you've ever had kimchi, it's much more potent, much hotter and peppery than cabbage. Tokyo, there's an amusement park in Tokyo that sells, now get ready for this, raw horse flesh ice cream.
Oh,
Oh, come
Yeah,
on.
believe it or not.
Oh.
Cow tongue, octopus, and squid. Portland, Oregon, there's an ice cream place, the Salt and Straw, serves pear with blue cheese ice cream. Now I wouldn't even want to eat those two without the ice cream. Mixing all that together doesn't appeal.
Yeah.
New York City, there's a gelato place. I can't pronounce the name. They here it comes. Fig and fresh brown turkey gelato.
Oh. Why are you ruining
Who came up with this idea?
desserts?
Yeah,
these combinations are awful.
you're eating a pig. I mean, you're eating a fig. You're eating a fig, and you look up and you say, needs turkey. Who comes up in ice cream? Who comes up with this? Who comes up with this? So, so I'm sorry, Karen. Let's move on to something a little more pleasant for you.
Okay, please
So,
do.
an engineer in Sunnyvale, which is in Silicon Valley, is selling his street legal jet-powered Volkswagen Beetle
Ooh.
for the incredibly low price. If you're in the market, Karen, $550,000.
Can I borrow some money, guys?
Okay, I know. I knew that's what you were going to say. I know that's a lot, but we live in Cleveland. Let me show you a picture of it first.
Okay.
Okay, here is the jet-powered Volkswagen Beetle.
Well, it looks like my Beetle driving down the street.
It sure does. Yeah. If you took a cigarette lighter and held it to the exhaust
Yeah.
and lit it, except I think that's a much bigger flame than you'd get out of your little
Oh.
Beetle.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, if you take a look at that again, we live in Cleveland. Okay, here's what you could do. The next snowfall, you when you're backing out of your garage, you turn on the jet. By the time you
Melts all
pull
the
out,
snow.
melts all the snow. That's right.
I love it.
Yeah, you could even drive backwards around your parking lot and melt all the snow and charge your condo
Yeah, I could.
and make some money to pay off the $550,000 loan you had to get.
What a great idea.
I've solved all your problems,
You
haven't
did. Yep.
Who would have thought it?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Yeah, what it needs though, because of the jet power, it goes a lot faster than a regular car does. So it would need a jet powered windshield wiper because you're going to hit a lot more bugs and bird poop and all that. So
Wait a minute.
What?
The question I have is, how can that be street legal? I mean, what kind of speeds is that? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and it's like, your speedometer goes up to 160 miles an hour.
Yes, it does.
Which is not legal. Okay, but that doesn't mean that your car is not street legal, right?
No, but I find this very,
Gotcha.
very it's my but the other thing is, what $500,000 for a car? I mean, it's
Oh, now don't get started with that, John, because there
Well-
are Ferraris and Maseratis
Oh,
and
I know that they're very expensive, obviously, but for that car, you gotta have your head examined.
Wait, okay, so we're talking about Silicon Valley, where people make a lot of money. They make
That's true. Okay,
enormous amount of money. They need to spend
Sure.
it on something. They
Well-
could feed the poor, distribute free coronavirus vaccines to the world, or they can drive really fast in a really cool little Volkswagen. So, not everybody can be Bill Gates.
It seems to me to be a very expensive hobby. The way
Very expensive. Yeah, well, the guy figured out how to do it himself. I'm not sure how. Karen, I'll try and find the plans for you.
Okay,
And
you
it-
do that. Yep.
A weekend project for you and Rich.
Okay.
With all those tools, he already has all the tools, from what I understand.
Oh, he does. Does.
Okay. All right. So if you're interested in making something else, here's another do-it-yourself project. In New Jersey. Now, I've talked about this before. Around the world, there's a big problem having to do with mysterious booms. People go outside, they even hear them inside the house. Just this loud boom that no one can explain. They ask the police, they don't know. The government, they don't know. So there's this little town in New Jersey, Mullica Township, where these booms, just absolutely just eardrum shattering booms have been happening. They finally found the source. A vineyard owner was chasing away birds, get ready for this, with his hail cannon. It was a cannon that he made out of street metal, scrap metal, old street signs, and mixed acetylene and oxygen in a propane tank to ignite it. And then he blew, it was just a sound blast. He didn't shoot anything. So a sound blast into clouds that would cause hail to fall and scare the birds away from his vineyard. Believe it or not, speaking of street legal, John, because there were no projectiles coming out, this was perfectly legal and they couldn't stop him from doing it.
Wow.
Isn't that? Yeah. So his neighbors, of course, they're building one. They're going to build an anti-vineyard owner cloud thing to either blow them into the next county or something. Just not, I thought I had it bad with my neighbor's Christmas decorations, but these people have it worse with this. It's
No
crazy
kidding.
guy. So anyway, speaking of wine, I'll give you some good news. We actually, we do like to talk about good news on What in the World. These are some good news. And maybe the best news of 2020. Researchers at Iowa State University found that consuming wine and cheese together, which everybody knows they go together, contributes to better cognitive health as you age and may actually help fight Alzheimer's disease. Wine and cheese can help fight Alzheimer's. How about that? That's
I
pretty
like
good.
that idea.
I know.
Yeah, me too.
But you gotta leave out the crackers, unfortunately, because
Oh, that's okay.
they contribute to you wanting more crackers. But the rest of the stuff definitely helps you improve your mind and hopefully fight Alzheimer's. That's pretty good news, I think.
That is good news.
So now, not everybody has good news. Okay, I've got bad news for the people living in England. Pest control experts in England are warning that 2021 will be a good year for vermin. They're predicting the super rats are growing in Great Britain that have developed a hybrid resistance to rodenticides, which are pesticides designed for rodents. So resistant that they can't drive them out with the poisons. And I have a friend in England who called me up and asked for advice. I said, well, you can't vote them out either. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're going to do. You're stuck with these giant super rats. So not exactly a good thing for the poor people in England, but that's the way it goes. So how are we doing on time? Okay, I want to go to the armpits. How's that for a segue? It's from a story. This comes from France. So France and armpits seem to go together, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So these scientists in France took 6 dogs and they trained them to detect coronavirus in people by sniffing their underarms. Sniff their underarms. If they smell a certain way, the people had the virus. And sure enough, they were right almost over 90% of the time. So, so now they have them working in airports. So these dogs in airports sniffing underarms, finding a coronavirus. TSA now stands for Terriers Smelling Armpits.
Oh, gee.
But this is a true story. This is a real story. So, so of course I had to do some research on armpits, besides looking at my own. The armpit is a very important part of your body. That's where the lymph nodes are. And there's 20 of them in each one of your armpits that help fight, they're a huge part of your immune system. So it's bad when you have problems with them. So you should take care of your armpits in order to take care of your lymph nodes. They do studies, of course, on why you smell and all that kind of stuff. So there's one I thought was interesting. Women versus men. They found in general, when people smell them, that women smell more like onions while men smell more like cheese. Now, I've never noticed that myself.
No, I'm
Oh, don't, be careful what you say, John.
I got to watch myself. That's right. I'm on probation with this, but I don't know. I could never say definitively, the armpit smell. Like, what is it? I mean,
Yeah.
I have no. I'm glad I don't. Quite frankly.
What, you don't smell?
No, I don't smell other people's armpits.
Okay.
or recognize that they smell like something. I mean, that's that's very.
It doesn't start. Babies don't have smelly armpits. You don't get it until you hit puberty, right about that time. All of that stuff is interrelated. Yeah.
All right, I can understand that. Okay.
So, and you can also affect the smell by what you eat. And this is, I hate this. This is bad news because the cruciferous family, which is broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and all that stuff that's good for you, also makes your pits smell like sulfur, which is not a good thing. What doctors say, if you like that something you don't want to smell, cook them first. So. Okay, medical advice from What in the World. But consider the source.
That's your first step. That is your first step. Always.
So now, one other thing that you always want to talk about when you talk about armpits is shaving. Okay, women shave them, men don't. Most women shave them. All men don't. Believe it or not, that was not a thing until around 1915. Before that, nobody cared. What happened in 1915, Karen, that caused women to start shaving their armpits?
The Spanish flu? I don't know.
That's it. How did you know the Spanish flu? It caused women to itch, and the only solution was to shave their armpit. No, that wasn't it. But it was the invention of sleeveless dresses. Sleeveless dresses.
Really?
Yeah, in 1915. They never had sleeveless dresses before. So you never saw armpit. And for some reason, people thought, oh, wow, do I really want to see that? And women decided, well, let's see, what could we do? And the obvious solution was to shave them. So 1915, before that, they did not do that. It was attributed to an ad in Harper's Bazaar magazine, where they first started talking about objectionable hair. And by then, by the end of the decade, everybody was doing it. So tune into What in the World. You never know what you're going to hear.
That's a very unique story, Paul. It's a very
in the world. So, okay. Oh, this is, I've got a local story here. Kind of. So if you're worried about those murder ants, those giant hornets that are up in the Pacific Northwest, it turns out that there are bees in Vietnam that know how to keep the murder hornets out of their hives. And what they do is they get dung, which is poop, and they rub it. Somehow they carry it up to the hive, and they rub it all over the opening to the hive. And that smell keeps the murder hornets, the killer hornets, out of their hives. And it protects them, because that's what the murder hornets do. That's what they call murder hornets. They come in and they murder bees. They don't murder people, they murder bees. So that's what these bees do. So maybe other bees might think of it. To me, the first thing I think of is that, if you taste something funny when you're eating honey, I think you can figure out where it came from. It came from Vietnam. It's one of these. But this reminds. Here's how my weird mind works. So I'm thinking, rubbing poop outside your door. What does that remind me of? It reminds me of Halloween, when you used to do that prank where you would put dog poop in a paper bag and light it and run away. And then the people opened the door and they stepped on it, and it, we're giggling behind the bushes, and they're pretty upset. I know Karen never did that. John,
I never did that. No.
I was not a big prankster for Halloween.
Not a big prankster.
No.
You don't hear about kids doing that anymore. And there's a lot of reasons for it. A, no more paper bags. B, no more dog poop. Everybody's picking up their poop when you walk your dog. They're picking it up.
Mm-hmm.
No more lighters or matches. Either people are giving up smoking or they're switching to vaping, which kind of ignites itself. So, there's a good thing that came out of all that, is no more flaming poop on your.
That's true.
Silver lining.
However, in Cleveland, Ohio, it's raining poop downtown. Have you heard this story?
I have not.
You haven't been downtown lately. At the corner of 13th Street and Superior, almost the heart of downtown Cleveland, there's an apartment building called Reserve Square Apartments.
I used to work there.
Oh, okay. So you know exactly where it's at. People are complaining. They're waiting for the bus, or they're walking or doing something, and poop is falling from the sky onto them, covering the ground with it. They don't know where it's coming from. Now, we complain about Cleveland weather, but it's usually about snow and rain and the fact that it changes in minutes, and you could be 2 miles away and the weather's completely different. But I don't think any place in Cleveland has poop falling down. Well, now they do in downtown.
It's very obvious where it's coming from.
Where? Oh, you have a guess?
Yeah, because that building is infested with rodents.
Oh, really?
It always has been. Yep.
No kidding. So
Yeah.
what are they doing? Putting their little butts up against the window, open it up, and
I don't know. They used to run on the roof all the time.
run on the roof.
Yep.
Well, okay, so it is coming from the roof. What they found, as the intrepid Cleveland police and whoever else, the council person, they found out that people are walking their dogs on the roof, and the dogs are pooping on the roof. So then other people are upset because they didn't pick up their dog poop. So somebody got the bright idea. Well, I can fix this problem. He just gets his broom and he sweeps it off. So apparently everybody was so happy with that on the roof that he could continue to do it until they finally figured out that it was him. So the building had to pay to pick up the poop, and they found the guy and told him, don't do that anymore. I hope they told the people not to walk their dogs on the roof, because I having been a dog owner, I think being on the roof would scare the poop out of most of my dogs.
The dog and the owner both.
There you go. Oh, no kidding. Yeah, exactly. So I don't, it just doesn't sound like a good thing to do. So anyways, I'm going to skip over this story here because I want to get to the haunted wedding dress, and then I want to get to John's sports story. So let's talk about the haunted wedding dress here. So, people have different memories of weddings. For some women, it's good, it's bad, and depending on when you ask them. Before, maybe it's good, after it's bad. there's plenty of tales of haunted clothing. We've talked about haunted clothing on the show before. Usually something bad happened and the clothing becomes possessed and it manifests itself to the other owner. But haunted bridal gowns is really unusual. So this woman and her fiance are walking in a ghost town, an abandoned gold mining town in the state of Washington. And they come upon this house. So, okay, so right off this sounds like a horror movie. So instead of keeping on going, they decide they're going to go inside the house. So they go inside the house, and on the bed is a beautiful, and remember I said they're engaged, a woman and her fiance. On the bed is this beautiful, looks like brand new wedding gown in an abandoned ghost town, abandoned mine town. So you think, well, gee, how did it get there? This lady, she decides, I'm going to take it home. She doesn't get offended, she doesn't get scared or anything. She decides she's going to take it home and she's going to have it altered and wear it for her wedding. And then she doesn't have to buy a wedding dress. Okay. Practical, maybe. Dumb, probably. So this story, she posted the story on Facebook and she didn't use her name. I got the story through a news source in Australia. So this is kind of, he told her and he told him. That I don't have a whole lot of, details that I could confirm. But so she takes the wedding dress home. She hangs it in the closet. All of a sudden, strange things start happening in the house that she doesn't equate to the dress. The cat starts acting weird. Well, cats start acting weird, hides under the bed. Then things start moving around in her house without any reason for it. Well, that's a good ghost sign. Okay, the poltergeist, they like to do that. Ghost doors opening and closing. Okay, never happened before. So what does she do? Does she burn the dress? No, she takes the dress and she gives it to her mother-in-law, who had promised that she would alter the dress for her and get it clean. So she gives it. Yeah, this is a good way to get on your mother-in-law's good side. So and they also smelled rotten eggs in the house, smell of fire. Now they live in Washington, okay, so there's fires going on up there, but still they think it might be the dress. So she gives it to the mother-in-law. A couple weeks later, the mother-in-law comes back with the dress. She says, "Get rid of this dress. Don't wear it. Don't get rid of it. There's something bad about it." So same thing happened to her. Doors slamming, lights turning on and off. She hears sighs around where the dress is. Not good things at all. But she didn't get it cleaned. So the woman's upset. She's upset because now she's got to get rid of the dress, and that means she's got to buy a dress. The mother-in-law didn't do what she asked her to. This doesn't sound like a good marriage to begin with. And you got to wonder with a ghost story if maybe they were giving her a warning that the ghosts were warning her, hey, you may not want to get married, and this dress is going to help you figure that out. So she puts it up for sale on Facebook. Puts it up for sale for the incredibly low price of $1,200. Nobody wanted it. It's haunted. She admits that it's haunted. That's why she's selling it. She figures, maybe there's haunted wedding dress collectors. Nobody wanted it. She dropped the price to $600. Still nobody wanted it. So it starts a big argument on Facebook. Some people are saying, you just need to bury it. You need to burn it. You need to send it to Washington, D.C. Do something. Get rid of it. Other people are saying, shame on you, for why didn't you try to find the owner of the dress? Brand new dress in this house. You're cursed. That's your curse. You didn't do the right thing. So anyways, so she, as far as I know, she still owns the haunted wedding dress. It's still haunting her house. Sounds like one of those campfire stories,
it is a campfire story.
Exactly. That's what after I went through the whole thing for Mysterious Universe, I got to the end, and that's exactly what I said. I said, now that I've made it all this far, it sounds like one of those campfire stories. I wish I could verify more. And I searched everywhere for more details on it, and there just weren't any. So So there you go, Robin. There's your haunted wedding dress story. I hope it didn't bring up. I know you guys have been married for many, many years. Have a happy marriage. There you go. There's your haunted wedding dress story for the week. So I mentioned to Karen that I was a guest on a podcast, another podcast. Lost my. Oh, there it is. So I was a guest on another podcast last week out of Sweden, and the host was asking me about writing for the Tonight Show, and we talked about Jay Leno, whose era I was involved in, and then he asked me about Johnny Carson, which always surprises me that people still remember Johnny Carson. One of the most famous stories of Johnny Carson was the story of when Ed Ames came on the show. Now, for those of you who don't remember Ed Ames, he was a member of the Ames Brothers singing group. His real name was I lost it. His real name was Dawson, I think his name was. Oh, guess what? I wonder. Oh, nope, that's not it. That's Bluff the Coal. So, anyways, that was it. So he goes on to Tonight. So he was Jewish, actually. He was Ukrainian of Jewish faith. He had a dark complexion. So he became an actor, and he was cast into roles as an Indian. So he played an Indian on Daniel Boone. Okay. So
I remember that.
You go. Yeah. I can't remember what his name was. He had it's suitable. This is the kind of thing you can't do anymore. A Native American.
Sure.
Native Americans have to play Native American. So
Right.
he's on the show, and Johnny brought him on specifically because he heard that he knew how to throw a tomahawk. So here's this Ukrainian Jewish guy playing a Native American, and he learned how to throw a tomahawk for the Daniel Boone show. So Ed Ames says, "Oh yeah, I can hit a target from across the stage." So Johnny Carson sets up a big wooden plank with a cowboy outlined on it, and Ed Ames throws the tomahawk at the cowboy, and I'm going to show you the picture of how the tomahawk hit the cowboy. Okay, so you can see that.
Yeah.
So Johnny Carson, the master of comedy, the audience went wild. They absolutely went. So he grabbed Ed Ames. Ed Ames wanted to go get the you can see Johnny Carson over there. Ed Ames wanted to go pull it out. He said, he thought, oh my God, how embarrassing. And Johnny grabs him and says, no, he just shakes his head and lets them sit. The longest laugh in the history of television, of live television. So so he says, Ed finally said, do you want to try, to Johnny after he let him go get it? And Johnny said, there's no way. I couldn't hurt that guy more than you already.
Oh, that's hysterical. Oh,
yeah.
that's
If you can see it's on the internet. It's on YouTube. Sure. You can see it. It's really great.
I'm going to check it out after our show. I'll see that. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So speaking of throwing tomahawks, just coincidentally, John is going to be talking to us about a sport that has something to do with axes. So John, why don't you introduce your sport for this week? What in the world?
I'm happy to do that, Paul, for sure. So the sport this week is axe throwing.
Axe throwing. What a coincidence.
Well, yes, it is. And so the modern sport of axe throwing involves a competitor throwing an axe at a target, attempting to hit the bullseye as near as possible. So that's the objective of axe throwing.
Okay.
Try to get it as close to the bullseye as possible.
Kind of like darts, only bigger.
Yeah, right. Same concept. Okay. Now, as of the fall of 2020, there are commercial locations for axe throwing in Canada, the U.S., Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and Poland, where participants can compete against each other, similar to dart throwing, as we just mentioned.
Oh, in fact, in Cleveland. I think we have
them in Cleveland, and one of Karen's cousins actually owns one.
Yep. Actually, I just looked it up today. They are closed because of COVID.
Some of them are. Is he in Cleveland or is he in Detroit?
Detroit.
Detroit. Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So so as of this year, prior to the pandemic, there were two popular leagues. It's the IATF, which is the International Axe Throwing Federation, which was formerly known as the National Axe Throwing Federation, and the WTL, which is the World Axe Throwing League. So these are actually organized leagues with rules and standards
Of course.
to make sure it's good competition. So, anyways, depending on the type of league, there are different boards and scoring systems, but in all cases, the target board must be made of wood, not specifying what type of wood, but it's got to be made out of wood.
So it doesn't
Right.
bounce back
Exactly.
at you.
Yeah, it doesn't ricochet back. So depending on the distance of the throwing line, okay, to the target, it has to be 12 feet. 12 feet is the standard, okay?
Okay.
And this is to allow what the goal is, they want to have the axe rotate only once.
Oh, okay.
They only want the axe to rotate once, so again, it becomes a more direct hit,
Yeah.
more precise hit, what have you. But there are different rules for the games and the boards and even the axes. So even though there's two leagues, there are other splinter leagues or splinter groups, if you will, that do that. But the most common rule is that the axe thrower must not step over the throwing line before the axe hits or misses the target. So if that happens, if the person does go over the line, he is disqualified.
Disqualified.
He's disqualified. And as for the axes themselves, there are two main sizes of axes used in these two leagues. There's the small axe blade and the big axe blade. The small axe blade is 600 to 800 grams for normal rounds, which is like 1.3 pounds to 1.75 pounds. Okay. Huh. That's the equivalency. And the big would be 1,000 to 1,500 gram, and that's approximately 2.2 pounds to 3.3 pounds.
3 pounds. That's a pretty heavy axe. Yeah.
Right. But these weights only apply to the weight of the blade itself. So you could have
not the handle. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The handle is excluded. It's only the blade itself.
Okay.
And the rules of the IATF allow the players to use the axes with a wooden handle. But wait a minute. But the WTLF does not have any such restrictions.
The radicals. Yeah.
It is radical. You could have a different type of material that's holding your axe blade.
Wow.
Now, so while axe throwing has been part of woodsman and timber sports for some time,
of course,
the resurgent popularity of the axe throwing leagues and clubs has been tied to the 2006 formation of what is called the Backyard Axe Throwing League.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. It sounds like a picnic.
Well, yes, it does. But it's
too much beer at a picnic in Washington State. A bunch of lumberjacks.
Again, now, and you got to remember that a lot of the axe throwing competition takes place in bars. And what do people do? What do people do in bars? They drink.
That's right.
So again, so the beverages. Well, the beverages, of course, are beer and wine. And there's various snacks, of course, that are on hand. And the competition typically takes 1 to 2 hours. And so again, this has been something for the last 14 years that's really gaining a lot of momentum, which unfortunately, due to the pandemic, got slowed down. There's actually spring and summer leagues that have been that had to suspend their operation.
Right.
So back to the World Axe Throwing League. Okay, in 2017, that league was founded by representatives from Canada, the U.S., Brazil, and Ireland. Now, you got to think of this. This is international connectivity. I mean, this is not just in North America. I mean, this is worldwide. Now, the league then established this date, June 13th, as the day to celebrate and raise awareness and unify the sport of urban axe throwing. So when you hear that phrase, when you hear the phrase urban axe throwing, you're hoping it's not going to be down the street. I mean,
right.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully in an area where the competition the competitors can be safe, and so can the people that are watching.
Urban axes and beer.
Urban X,
Not a good
yes, it is. But anyway, so
John, I'm gonna move you up a little bit here. I want to point out that the target is not a cowboy. The target
yes, that is right,
kind
Paul.
of like a dartboard.
Exactly right.
Circle with a bullseye. But there's got to be some world records associated with.
Yes.
Throwing.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
How
There
about a couple
are.
world
Okay,
records?
so in Nova Scotia in 2012, a gentleman by the name of Doug McNamara threw a tomahawk 9 times, hitting 5 balloons in under a minute.
This is like a carnival game.
Yeah, it is, exactly. Okay, so not to be outdone, in 2013, he cut a carrot in half from 21.66 feet away by throwing a similar tomahawk.
Wow. Now, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Now, Doug owns quite a few records. However, most are for axe tricks rather than throwing. And that's how Doug comes into the picture with the axe throwing.
Yeah.
Trick. In 2012, again, he balanced 3 double-bitted axes on his chin for 10.81 seconds.
Okay, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I have a picture of him doing that, by the way.
Good.
John, there. This is
Ah.
that's after he did it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's, balancing axes. Boy, that sounds like. But don't try this at home territory.
Definitely not try it at home. But in the same year, he balanced a double-bitted axe on his forehead for 1 minute and 29.84 seconds, which I find astounding that they even get it down to the 0.00 seconds as to how long he was able to do that.
It's the Guinness people, John. You know
right.
how they're meticulous.
People all over. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a couple of axe records that Doug did not set. In 2018, David Rush set the record for most consecutive axe juggling catches at 839.
Axe juggling.
Juggling, 839.
That's a lot. I mean,
that's a lot of dexterity. It's a lot of good vision. I mean, it's a lot of good balance. It's unbelievable. Okay.
My arms hurt.
No. And then finally, in 2012, Joseph Nagy, he fit 10 cans of Axe deodorant inside of a hat.
Oh.
So it's not axe throwing, but it's related to the deodorant axe.
There you go. There's one that we can compete in, John.
I have to come up with a little bit of a zinger at the end, guys.
There you go. All right. Very good. Very good. Axe deodorant in a hat. Wow. I could handle that. The other stuff, forget it. That's too dangerous.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Speaking of dangerous, coming up now is Bluff the Co-Host.
Uh-oh.
My favorite segment.
Everybody's favorite game. John picking up an adult beverage over there. Get ready. So the Bluff the Co-Host, real simple. I have 3 stories that are very similar to the ones that I've been telling all afternoon. Difference is some may be true, some may be a bluff. And it's up to John and Karen and everybody playing at home to figure out which is which. It's not dangerous unless you get into an argument, which is why we're all in separate areas. So anyways, without further ado, hands on the buzzer, let's get right to story number 1. If you're worried about your grocery store running out of your favorite bottled water, you're in luck in more ways than number 1. The company that makes the wastewater recovery system in the space station for turning astronaut urine into drinking water has teamed up with Avion to sell the same stuff in stores. And for those who like to be self-sufficient, are working on a home version to replace your water cooler. Called Pevion, the store version is certified by the Food and Drug Administration to be completely safe and clean, and it's made from wastewater from an unnamed American city. To promote it, the Avion people will have 8 packs that include a collectible plastic glass shaped like a urinal.
Oh my gosh.
The home version is ready to go, but both are waiting for the PVN marketing team to come up with a suitable advertising campaign. So, bottled water made from human urine is going to be available in your grocery store before you know it. Endorsed by the astronauts. Comes right from Avion. You can't beat them. Karen, what do you think? Real or bluff?
I am feeling really nauseous today. Every story you have told
I'm
has
going to make it
really
worse. I'm gonna have
turned
a
me upside
water
down.
here.
Yeah, I'm going to say false.
Karen says it's a bluff. All right, John, what do you say? PVN,
I'm
real or
I'm
bluff?
gonna, I'm gonna pray that it's false. I mean, I'm gonna
Really?
pray that. Yeah, really. Come on. I mean, what are you? Come on, astronaut urine. Come on. No, I'm not. I'm not feeling it, Paul. I'm saying
No, no.
it's
All
false.
right. Well, I couldn't pull one on you this time. That was a bluff. Very good.
Thank
Oh, very good,
goodness.
Karen. Way to go,
Yeah.
Karen. Very good. Very
There
good.
you go. One. So both of you are up by one. All right. Story number 2. Once the pandemic is over, airports will once again have to deal with too much traffic on the runways. A team of Dutch engineers claim they have a solution. Circular runways built around the airport that would allow multiple planes to take off and land continuously and safely. A 7-mile runway can be built into a circle that's only 2.2 miles in diameter around the terminals. Wind will no longer be a problem because planes can take off and land with it rather than fighting crosswinds. The circular runway also makes it easier to fly over less populated areas and reduce noise pollution. The design is gaining acceptance in England, where people are used to driving in roundabouts, but American pilots hate the idea of being in holding patterns on the ground. So, a way to reduce the size of airports and also allow more planes to take off and land at the same time by building the runways in a circle around the terminals. John, what do you think?
I'm gonna say false because we've been flying, for decades, obviously, well over 100 years. Wouldn't you think someone would have come up with this idea prior to this idea? I don't think it's true. I think it's false.
Oh, okay. John says it's another bluff. Karen, what do you think? Circular runways.
I think there's a reason why we don't have circular runways. And I remember reading about this once. So I'm going to say false.
Oh, you say it's a bluff too. There's a reason why we don't have circular
Yeah,
runways.
there's a reason why there's a pattern to runways.
Yeah. Well, get ready because there's a team of Dutch engineers already has a prototype ready to go of circular runways.
Really?
Yep, that's a true story.
Oh, wow.
My
Okay.
head
Whatever it is, Karen, whatever it is, they've obviously managed to
Circumvent that, so to speak.
so to speak. Thank
Oh,
you, John. Thank you, John. And on that note, let's segue right into story number 3. If you can't eat them, join them is the motto of a couple in France who have a pond on their property filled with frogs that would make tasty frog legs, except for the fact that they are an endangered species. Unfortunately, the pond itself is now an endangered species, as neighbors of the couple are complaining that mating season in the neighborhood sounds like the French Grand Prix, with boffing bullfrogs croaking louder than the race cars and keeping them awake at night. The couple even moved the pond to a remote corner of their yard, but the frogs just croak louder, thinking that their mates are still at the old location. The case has now gone to court, and a judge ruled against the frogs. So the couple must either drain the pond and find them new homes, or soundproof their bathroom and add a bigger tub and bidet. Karen, the endangered frogs keeping the neighbors up at night with their doing what frogs do in the frog position, leaping and
yeah.
leaping and croaking. What do you think? True or bluff?
Oh, let's go with true.
Oh, you haven't heard the story yet.
No.
About why we couldn't do that. All right, John, what do you think?
I'm with Karen on this one. I'm going to say it's true. It's in France. It's in
It's-
France.
There you go. That explains everything. It's in France. That's our new motto.
It's in France.
It's so strange. It's like it's from France. Guess what? You're both right.
Hey,
Hey,
way to go, Karen.
Wow.
Very good. All right,
two
good.
weeks in a row.
Doubled. I think we're at 3-3. So both of you tied. Very good. Wow. Boy, I worked hard on those too. I'm
Yeah, you
surprised.
did.
Sure you did.
Hell. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of working hard, we have worked so hard. We've made it to the end of another edition of What in the World. I want to thank Karen and NewClevelandRadio.net for hosting us, Karen for producing all the wonderful things she does there. NewClevelandRadio.net is full of podcasts besides What in the World. Listen to them there. You can see us on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in from wherever you are, New Zealand, Ireland, Texas, Poland, you name it. John, I want to thank you as well for What in the World of Sports. As always, axe throwing. We won't be participating, but it's certainly an interesting sport.
Well,
And,
thanks, Paul. It was fun to do. It was fun to do that segment. It was
Yes,
fun.
it was. Yeah, that was a good one there. So thank you again. Thank you. If you're celebrating the holidays, no matter what holiday you're celebrating, do it carefully. Wear a mask. Don't stay from crowds and all that good stuff. We want you back for next week. We want you back for next year,
Sounds good.
et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, I'm going to